You know, I just wonder what kind of you know, you talk about the impact, but what that does to a life that has already been very much in the public eye at that point, and since then, obviously. Does that make you rethink any of your goals? An event like that and all the decisions that you've made after the death?
Well, the decision, the first and most important decision that I made after the death was, okay, now that Theo is killed, do I shut up and take advantage of this witness protection program that I was offered and just, you know, leave things as they are, or do I continue to fight? And the right thing to do for me at that time was not to reward the murder of Theo with my silence. That is exactly what he intended to get. And I think that society should absolutely not do that, and should not do that. And that is also, I think, why I resented the actions of the administration in place at the time in the Netherlands, that the murderer was rewarded with apologies and groveling and accommodation and stuff like that. It was, at that time, we should have said, this is the boundary and not much further. You don't kill. You don't kill a person you disagree with. You just don't do it in the Netherlands. And I think in the Netherlands we have absolutely failed in conveying that message.
Sorry, what do you mean he was rewarded? He was sent to jail. He was widely condemned, and they were worried that there would be a huge uprising because of the fissure that this demonstrated in Dutch society.
But there was no fissure. The Dutch society didn't do that. The Dutch citizens didn't do anything at odds with. They expressed their outrage, most of the Dutch people, by going to the Dam and mourning, as the Dutch society mourned and mourned and mourned. But the government accommodated those individual Muslims who agreed in principle with the murder. They did not commit it, but they lauded it. They would always start with, Muslim organizations and their spokespeople always started their sentences with, it was terrible that Theo Foucault was killed, but, and as a government and as a society, it would have been much better if we had said, there is absolutely no but. There is no but. You disagree with someone who makes a film, who writes a book, who draws a cartoon, you have to express yourself in some other way. There is no but. Murder is not an option. And the Dutch government failed over and over again in conveying that message to its Muslim minority.
All right, I think we're going to take some questions. The microphone is very making your way to the microphone to ask these questions. Could I just remind you again, questions, not sermons, please.
First of all, Ms. Ali, I just want to thank you very much for your courage and for your dedication to telling people about this, to encouraging us to fight against this poison that threatens our society. In terms of the Sharia law and how our incompetent premier considered it yet another reason not to vote for him. I'm sure you're aware that Prime Minister Kevin Rudd of Australia has said that those who want to live under under Sharia law can leave the country, basically. If you don't like it in Australia, leave. It's the Australians, they're not going to be the ones who are going to bend, it's going to be immigrants who are going to live. The question is, do you think that this was just on time, or do you think that this was too late? Mr. Rudd, you know...
What is Mr. Rudd? Those who believe in Sharia should leave the country, or...
Exactly.
Those who believe in Sharia...
The message that you're here, you came to this country willingly, and you're going to abide by Australian law, not by Sharia law, or else go back to your country. Do you think this decision was right on time, or do you think it's a bit too late?
I think immigration is a voluntary business. If you want to live in Canada or in Australia or in any Western society, you know before you buy your plane ticket, before you ask for asylum or before you apply for a visa, that those countries are not under Sharia law. And if you go there and you say, well, I would like to have, to be exempted from the law, then I think again that it is the government, society that has to make it very, very clear to you, you're not going to be exempted from the general law that applies to everyone else. And therefore, your conclusion, Prime Minister, Australia's Prime Minister saying, if you want to live in a place where Sharia law applies, then go and live there. That is again freedom of mobility, freedom of movement. If you want to live under Sharia law, go ahead.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. I also really appreciate you coming here. I agree with a lot of your criticisms of Islam, but I would ask how you respond to the counter-argument that during the Middle Ages, Islam was often less intolerant than Christianity.
The Middle Ages people were intolerant. Christians were intolerant. Muslims were intolerant. If there were other religions, they were intolerant. But their intolerance was measured against, the 20th century, the 21st century. Some of the things that we see nowadays, I think the medieval people probably have thought, wow, with the technology that we have. Personally, I feel that looking to the Quran and the instructions of Muhammad for guidance, a 7th century figure, a 7th century holy book, looking for that to those sources for moral everyday guidance in how to build a state, in the relationship between believers and unbelievers, men and women, gays, etc. I think that people who do that are taking those documents and that figure out of context. Taking a 7th century book and trying to use it for 21st century guidance, that is out of context. For me, those books are historic. Muhammad is a historic figure. Whatever Muslims or Christians did in the Middle Ages, this is all historic knowledge. And it's up to us to say, we know that history, we've progressed thus far. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights wasn't devised for nothing. It was a response to cruel, unusual treatment. It was a response to the Holocaust. It was a response to racism. It was a response to sexism. And that is what we need to preserve. And history can only inform us. We can't apologize for it. We don't have to apologize for it. But it can inform us not to go back to those times.